All right, Broncos country, man. We are less than 24 hours away from the Broncos and Bengals Saturday afternoon clash. Broncos looking for that one final win to be able to clinch a playoff spot. We'll worry about seeding when we worry about seeding, but absolutely crucial game, a playoff game for the Broncos. And we're going to talk about what they need to do to be able, to execute to be able to win this game, some key matchups. We'll talk a lot about the Bengals, some PFF grades, and then at the end, as usual, I'll give you all my score prediction. Before we get into all that, guys, if it's your first time on the channel, if you love Denver sports, if you love the Nuggets, the Avs, but especially the Denver Broncos, then consider hitting that subscribe button, man. I really appreciate it. I'm so close to that 500 subscriber mark. And in addition to that, if you are a subscriber, thank you. And tell a friend and have the friends tell a friend and keep that going. Before you know it, we'll get there without any kind of issues. And leave a comment below. Always love the comments with all you guys for sure. All right. Well, I don't know if you guys are feeling as sick to your stomach, pit in your stomach nervous as I am, but I haven't felt this feeling in a long time. It's because it's been 9 years since the Broncos have last made a playoff appearance. I don't think many of us really predicted that it would happen this season. So taking everything into account, it's been a great year. But man, I would love to see this team finish it off and do it the right way. One funny thing I had seen earlier, and I think it was credited again. I think Zach Stevens, he's been on fire lately with a lot of the stats. But the last time that the Denver Broncos clinched the playoff spot, it was December 28th, 2015. They came off of a 34-27 loss, and they ended up clinching playing against the Bengals. And this week, if they were to beat the Bengals tomorrow is December 28th, and the Broncos are coming off a 34-27 loss, and they're playing the same opponent. Pretty crazy how things have come full circle 9 years later. Hopefully, history can repeat itself because that would be amazing in every single way. The Broncos can end up pulling this out. So just a cool stat there. Guys, let's talk about the Bengals, right? We know a lot about this team in terms of kind of what their makeup and who they are. They have three superstars on offense. They've got one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in Joe Burrow. They've got Jamar Chase, who's arguably, I think in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the NFL. And they've got T. Higgins, who might be the best wide receiver too. And they got some other weapons too, right? I mean, Chase Brown is their running back that's been playing really well. Mike Gesicki's made plays here and there. But the offense really rolls around those three. We know that they can put up points. They can put up yards. They are an explosive team. On the flip side, their defense has been very bad. It's been a little bit better, arguably the last few weeks, but typically it's a really bad defense. Currently, their defense is averaging. They're allowing about 360 yards per game, 231 through the air, and 128 on the ground. All of those metrics are closer to the lower part of the league. So we know it's a defense that has been struggling. It's one of the main reasons why they're, sitting at 7-8. And that's coming off of a 3-game win streak, mind you. So, but that doesn't mean they're playing really, really well. They seem to have figured some things out. And anytime you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow and you got some weapons like that, you're going to be in for a long game. This defense, the Broncos defense, is really going to have to show out and be a lot more like they were the first 2 months of the season rather than the last month overall. There's no doubt about it. Another thing that really stuck out to me about this game is if you look at the Bengals, right? And I'm going to pull up their schedule. But if you look at, everybody's always on the Broncos. Oh, the Broncos are underdogs in this game, which I understand. But a lot of people are high on the Bengals because they're like, well, the Broncos haven't really beat anybody. They haven't really beat any playoff teams. And listen, that is true, right? I mean, there's no denying that. But if you look at the Bengals and who they've beaten this year, I'm going to tell you guys who the starting quarterbacks are of all the wins. Their first win came against Andy Dalton and the Panthers. Okay, he was the backup at the time, and he's since been benched. Their second win came against the Giants with their starter at the time, Daniel Jones. So they beat Daniel Jones. Their third win was against Deshaun Watson and the Browns. Their fourth win was against Gardner Minshew and the Raiders. Their fifth win was against Cooper Rush and the Cowboys. And man, did the Cowboys screw that one up. Looking back on it, God, it would have been nice if the Cowboys won that game, huh? So that was their fifth win. Their sixth win came against the Titans with Will Levis, who has since been benched. And their most recent win last week was against Dorian Thompson-Robinson, arguably the worst quarterback in the NFL, and the Browns. So they have yet to beat very good teams either, right? But that's the thing. When you have a team that had at one point a historically bad defense, just a really, really bad defense, it makes it more difficult. What does it mean for the Broncos? Well, it obviously means that we certainly have a chance to win this football game. We just have to continue to show the growth in some areas that we've been showing it, but we have to be a lot more consistent overall, right? And that starts with the mitigating the stupid penalties and mitigating the turnovers. We've done a good job in the turnover department, I think, most of the year, to be honest with you, in terms of our turnover ratio. But we need to stop shooting ourselves in the foot with terrible penalties, especially at really bad times. And I'd like to see us establish more of a run. You should be able to run at will against this Bengals team. There's no doubt about it, especially if the Broncos come out in the pistol like they did against the Chargers and a lot of those different formations, really mixing things up, getting into that rhythm and that flow. I think you'll be able to run the ball really well. The biggest matchup of this game and the biggest, I think, factor that will dictate the outcome of this game is Patrick Surtain against Jamar Chase. Vance Joseph, please. I doubt you're listening to this. I doubt you'll ever watch it, but you need to have Pat Surtain on Jamar Chase on every single route. Period. I will live and die by that. That's not a problem. Jamar Chase is going to get his. He's one of the best. Patrick Surtain is going to get his. But you need to find a way to mitigate their number one target in Jamar Chase. There is no better player in the NFL, not just on the Broncos, but in the NFL that is better equipped to do that than Pat Surtain. If you can do that and just say, hey, Pat Surtain is going to take care of him one on one, you can, allocate the other resources to other areas on the field and against other players, you're going to have some really good success. You're going to make Joe Burrow hold on to the ball longer than he's going to want to hold on to it. And their offensive line is a big weakness for them. This is an O line that I expect for the Broncos to be able to generate a very, very consistent pass rush against. No doubt about it. We just have to show up and show out. But I think Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito and Jonah Ellis and Dondre Tillman, I think those guys have a really good chance to feast. We just have to be able to make life very difficult on Joe Burrow, not make a lot of things open, and be able to just pin our ears back and go. That also means we cannot let their run game going. If Cincinnati, the kind of offense that they are, if they're able to establish some sort of a run game, they're going to be lethal. It's almost impossible for your defense to stop them because now they're just too much of a threat in both the pass and the run game. So that's going to be a major key there. Some things to look out for too when you look at the Bengals overall offensive line in general. They've got two tackles. One of them is actually questionable in Amarius Mims. He's a younger player, but he's struggled quite a bit this year, in really all facets, but especially when it comes to his run blocking ability. But he hasn't really been good in pass pro either. He's really struggled as a tackle. Orlando Brown is another player that they have. He's a little bit more of a vet, but he hasn't really been that good either. He's better against the run. Or no, he's better. Sorry, he's a little bit better in pass pro, but he's historically pretty dang bad against the run. In fact, what we'll go ahead and do is we'll show you guys we'll just share the screen, go to the PFFs, and we'll talk about that from now. So you can see here, Marius Mims is 64th out of 78 in terms of tackles. His run blocking is a 55.5, pass pro is 60.7. Orlando Brown is 66th out of 78. His run blocking has been very, very bad, and his pass pro has actually been quite a bit better. They also mixed in some Cody Ford as well. I'm not really sure. I didn't prepare for it in advance. I apologize. I'm not really sure which one of them is actually going to ultimately end up starting. I think Orlando Brown he missed some games early in the year. But either way, all three of those tackles have struggled quite a bit. They're starting guards in Cordell Volson and Alex Kappa, both struggling heavily. You can see ranked towards the bottom when it comes to PFF grades. A lot of vulnerabilities there. Their bright spot is their center, Ted Karras. He's somebody that's a vet, been in the league for a long time. He's been pretty good. So this O-line's got its vulnerabilities. They're definitely going to be able, the Broncos pass rush and their D-line should be able to really have a field day if given the opportunities. And the key to that also, guys, is going to be, as we all know, it's going to be generating, it's going to be stopping the run, so we can put ourselves in a situation where they're, in obvious pass downs, but getting that lead early. I love how we started against the Chargers. We couldn't have asked for a better start. 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. You need to replicate that, really put the pressure on them, but then find a way to maintain and continue to control this ball game overall. On the offensive side of the ball, this is one of those, rare weeks where I love the offensive matchup that we have against the defense that we're playing. I think there's going to be a ton of opportunities. There's going to be a lot of guys on the Cincinnati Bengals that you can attack, especially in the secondary. They've got a couple corners that are decent at Mike Hilton, but then they got guys, that struggle like Cam Taylor Britt. He's somebody that, you could really attack. DJ Turner the second. He's somebody that you can really go after. These are the guys that play the most for him. They've also got some vulnerabilities in the safety position as well, and really as a whole in their linebackers. Their linebacking core is nothing all that special, with the exception of Logan Wilson. They don't really have the biggest amount of playmakers. Their D line has some guys, but the good news is, a guy like Sheldon Rankin, he's out for tomorrow. He's not going to be playing. Um, and so, you'll be able to have one less person to worry about. The biggest problem on their defense, without a doubt, is Trey Hendrickson. 13 and a half sacks this year. I think he's leading the NFL. He's going to be somebody that you're definitely going to have to really, really make sure that you take into account. The good news is the guys opposite of him, Sam Hubbard, Joseph Osai, they kind of mix in those two guys. Um, Sam Hubbard looks like he's not going to be in this game. Joseph Osai is questionable, so we'll have to ultimately go in and see what that is. Taking a look at the injury report. What are we doing? Come on, here it is. All right, taking a look at the injury report, man. The Broncos again, only 4 guys on the injury report. One of them is technically questionable, and that's Tyler Bidet. And I would be surprised if he ends up playing in this game, at least. So we'll see. They do get Julian McLaughlin back. They also just elevated Blake Watson. So if you didn't think 3 running backs was enough, wait until you see 5. So I don't think we'll see 5 for sure this week. I think Tyler Bidet, they'll give him another week at minimum. We'll kind of figure out the running back room moving forward. Obviously, guys, we talked about Riley Moss. Unbelievable that he's back. I'm so excited. I heard some reports of saying he's going to be on some sort of a pitch count. I don't buy it. He might be, but I don't buy it. He was a full participant all week. He even practiced a little bit last week before the Thursday night game. So I think he's going to be back ready to rock. And then Julian McLaughlin and Troy Franklin, they're all good to go. So Broncos looking really healthy going into this game. It's awesome. The Bengals is a little bit of a different story. All right, so you've got 2 guys that are already deemed out. Sam Hubbard is out. Sheldon Rankins is out. And Tanner Hudson, the tight end, is doubtful. Then you've got, it looks like 5 guys questionable. Geno Stone, which if you look at PFF with Geno Stone overall for the year, it's not all that impressive. But over the last 4 games, I think he's been one of the best safeties in the NFL. He came down with an illness. He didn't participate in practice just yesterday. So he's questionable for the game. Joseph Osai, who we talked about, is with another edge player. He's got an illness as well. He's questionable. Amarius Mims, the tackle, is questionable. Charlie Jones, wide receiver, he's going to be more of a special teams guy. He's questionable. So they've got some guys that are, and T. Higgins is actually questionable. Now, all the reports show that he's most likely going to play, but if he somehow, some way is inactive for this game, you talk about a huge present for the Broncos team. So that's really how that's breaking down there in terms of the overall injury reports. Keys to the game, guys. Broncos. It's the same thing as it was when you're going into the, as it was with the Chargers game, right? Establish a run. Make life easier on your rookie quarterback by having a run game going, and just protect the football. Do not give this explosive offense shorter fields than what you need to. Special teams is going to be really big. I talked about it a little bit yesterday with the weather. Now, the weather does look like it's going to be better than originally anticipated. I don't even know if there will be rain, but it's going to be windy. It could be wet. It could be gross. Special teams is going to be big, and I think we have a really big advantage on special teams, especially in the kick game. They've got Cade York, who is a below-average kicker at best because Evan McPherson's on IR. Will Lutz has been having a really big year. It's gonna one of these games is gonna come down to a field goal. It's gonna come down to the kicks, and so that's something that's gonna be really, really big there for us. On defense, man, I am gonna be able to live with some of the explosive plays. I'll live with us giving up yards. I just want this defense to return back to their form of playing really good, especially in the red zone. Finding a way, if you can hold them to 3 against 7 against this team, is going to be a huge win. Forcing turnovers is obviously always a big bonus. This defense has done a really good job of that regardless. And no stupid penalties. No dumb penalties. I'm optimistic that we're gonna have a much better showing this week than we have over the past month. I think Riley Moss, his return is gonna be a big part of that, but we just cannot have self-inflicted wounds defensively. And the more turnovers that we can get, obviously, the better. I wanna know how you guys are feeling, Broncos country. I'm, like, sick to my stomach, so nervous for this game. I don't know why. There's just a lot that goes on through your heads, right? You worry about, are we gonna choke? Are we really gonna have it come down to a game next week against Kansas City at home, and we can't rely on them actually benching their starters and blah, blah, blah. I just don't wanna go there. I don't even want it to come to that. I want the Broncos to go out there and earn it the way that I feel like this young team is capable of doing. It's that next step. Go out there, play playoff football in a playoff environment on the road, and get the win. So let's get it, baby. Final predictions for the game. I was really pessimistic about this game over the last week, but these last few days, I've really turned the corner because I've realized, even though they're an explosive offense, they haven't really beat many good teams. And there's a lot of those wins that they have. You can arguably say that they could have lost those games easily. The one that sticks out is the um the Cowboys game. There's a lot of shootouts that they had that they lost that they ultimately could have won as well. But I think this is a team that, you know, we're catching them at a bad time because they are on a good win streak. But coming off a loss, I like the way this team rebounds. I do think the Broncos end up finding a way to win. And I said it all week about the special teams. Something about it tells me that it's going to come down to a kick, or kicks are going to be very. Oh, it's going to happen. I can just feel it. It's going to be such an important part of this game. So Willie Lutz, I love you. I do got the Broncos winning this game, 28-25. Let me know what you guys think below. Go Broncos. Let's get this playoff berth. Hopefully, we'll have a video. We'll go live tomorrow evening after the game, and we'll be celebrating together. So let me know what you guys think below. How we feeling about it, Broncos country? Until next time, y'all spend time with those you love the most, and go Broncos, baby. Peace out.